You know, I wanted to get to some questions, but first I want to talk about Trans Am trucking because Senator Durbin brought it up and Senator Lee brought it up. And I want to just go through the facts real quickly because I understand the reasoning behind your dissent, but I'm actually kind of puzzled by it as well. Okay, so Alphonse Maddin's a truck driver. He's made a stop off the interstate at 11 p.m. He comes back on, or he's about to come back on, notices his brakes are frozen on his trailer. Okay, so he decides, I'm not going to go on. It's dangerous to go with frozen brakes onto the interstate, frozen brakes on my long trailer. He's in the cab, and he calls in pulls off the side, calls in for a repair. Gets to the dispatcher. Dispatcher says, well, you know, wait, hang on there. We'll wait for it. Okay, a couple hours goes by. The heater is not working in his cab. It's 14 below zero. 14 below zero. He calls in and he says, my feet, I can't feel them. I can't feel my feet. My torso, I'm beginning not to be able to feel my torso. And they say, hang on, wait for us. Okay, now he actually falls asleep. And at 1:18 a.m., his cousin, calls him and wakes him up. And his cousin says that he is slurring his speech and he doesn't make much sense. Now, Mayo Clinic in Minnesota says that is hypothermia. And he had fallen asleep. If you fall asleep waiting under 14 below zero weather, you can freeze to death. You can die. He calls him back, and his supervisor says, wait. You got to wait. So he has a couple of choices here. Wait or take the trailer out with the frozen brakes onto the interstate. Now, when those brakes are locked and you're pulling that load on a trailer with its brakes locked, you can go maybe, what, 10, 15 miles an hour? Now, what's that like on an interstate? Say you're going 75 miles an hour. Someone's going 75 miles an hour. They come over a hill and slam into that trailer. Also, he's got hypothermia. He's a little woozy. Probably figures that's not too safe. I don't think you'd want to be on the road with him, would you, Judge?
Senator,
you would? Or not? It's a really easy yes or no. Would you like to be on the road with him?
Would I want to be on the road with him?
Yeah.
With the hitched trailer or the unhitched trailer, Senator?
Well, either, but especially with the hitched trailer with the locked brakes.
No, I don't think that was a serious
I thought that
option.
was, I wouldn't want to be there either.
Yeah.
And so what he does is he unhitches it and goes off in the cab.
And then I believe he comes back 15 minutes later.
And he comes back after he gets warm so that he can be there when it gets repaired.
Right.
Okay. He gets fired. He gets fired. And the rest of the judges all go, that's ridiculous. He shouldn't. You can't fire a guy for doing that. There were two safety issues here. One, the possibility of freezing to death or driving with that rig in a very, very dangerous way. Which would you have chosen? Which would you have done, Judge?
Oh, Senator, I don't know what I would have done if I were in his shoes, and I don't blame him at all for a moment for doing what he did do. I empathize with him entirely.
Okay, we've been talking about this case. You haven't decided what you would have done? You haven't thought about for a second what you would have done in this case?
I thought a lot about this case.
What would you have done?
I totally empathize and understand.
I'm asking you a question. Please answer questions.
Senator, I don't know. I wasn't in the man's shoes, but I understand why he did.
You don't know what you would have done. Okay, I tell you what I would have done. I would have done exactly what he did.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think everybody here would have done exactly what he did. And I think that's an easy answer. Frankly, I don't know why you had difficulty answering that. Okay, so you decide to write a thing in dissent, if you read your dissent, you don't say it was like sub-zero, you say it was cold out. The facts that you describe in your dissent are very minimal. But here's the law that, and you go to the language of the law, and you talk about that. I go to the law. A person may not discharge an employee who refuses to operate a vehicle because the employee has reasonable apprehension of serious injury to the employee or the public because of the vehicle's hazardous safety or security condition. That's the law. And you decided that they had the right to fire him, even though this law says you may not discharge an employee who refuses to operate a vehicle, because he did operate the vehicle. Was that right? That's how you decided, right?
That's the gist of it.
Well, no. Is that how you decided? That's what you decided,
Senator,
right?
there are a lot of more words in the opinions, both in the majority by my colleagues and in dissent, but that I'm happy to agree with you. That's the gist of it.
Right. Well, that's what you've said. And look, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been on this committee for about 8 years, and I've paid some attention. So I know that what you're talking about here is the plain meaning rule. Here's what the rule means. When the plain meaning of a statute is clear on its face, when its meaning is obvious, courts have no business looking beyond the meaning to the statute's purpose. And that's what you used, right?
That's what was argued to us by both sides, Senator.
But that's what you used.
Yeah, both sides
right.
argued
Okay.
that the plain meaning supported their
and you used it to come to your conclusion.
But both sides.
But the plain meaning rule has an exception. When using the plain meaning rule would create an absurd result, courts should depart from the plain meaning. It is absurd to say this company is in its rights to fire him because he made the choice of possibly dying from freezing to death or causing other people to die possibly by driving an unsafe vehicle. That's absurd. Now, I had a career in identifying absurdity. And I know it when I see it. And it makes me, it makes me question your judgment.